Holy Paladin and Mythic Plus can feel overwhelming if you're new or returning. Too many buttons, too much pressure, and not enough clear answers. In this video, I'll show you the simplest, most effective way to heal dungeons as a Holy Paladin in patch 11.1, so you know exactly what to do, what to press, and what to ignore. No experience required. And a special thanks to Ellesmere for helping me put this video together. Holy Paladin and Mythic Plus is all about aggressive, melee-based healing. You heal by staying in melee range, building up holy power, and then spending it to keep your group alive. You have 3 core abilities you generate holy power with. Holy Shock, an instant ranged ability you can use to heal or damage, one of your best heals, so use it on cooldown. Judgment, a ranged attack which also deals damage, and Crusader Strike, a melee attack which has some talent interactions. There's another ability that would generate holy power, but we'll skip it for now. You can store up to 5 holy power, each generator gives you 1 and your spenders cost 3. Never let yourself go over 5. If you're at 3 or more, it's time to spend. Now for your holy power spenders, you basically have 3 options, but we're mostly going to use 2 of them. So let's talk about the first one. Eternal Flame. It replaces Word of Glory if you pick the Herald of the Sun hero talents. It's your biggest single target heal. It brings an instant strong upfront heal and then puts up a heal over time. You should prioritize this for anyone in danger or yourself if you're low. Your second spender is Shield of the Righteous. This one is an ability you use to deal damage with. Only spend holy power on this when healing isn't needed or you're about to cap on holy power. Most of the time, especially when you're just gearing up and learning a spec, you can get away with using Shield of the Righteous for the majority of the dungeon. Basically, every time you gather up enough holy power, you would ask yourself, is someone injured? If the answer is no, you use Shield of the Righteous. Use it aggressively to deal damage and take advantage of a passive healing through Lightforged Blessings. And to reduce the cooldown of Crusader Strike, don't be afraid to use Shield of the Righteous a lot. Even in high keys, it's your main way to push damage without sacrificing healing. And our last spender, Light of Dawn. It's a short-range, cone-shaped group heal, and in Mythic Plus, it's rarely used. Mainly because it's rare for all 5 players to be equally injured in a dungeon, and also grouped up to actually receive the heal. Eternal Flame and Shield of the Righteous are usually better ways to spend your holy power in most Mythic Plus scenarios. Light of Dawn is used more frequently in raid environments where group-wide damage is common, and you can reliably hit multiple allies. So you might be asking yourselves, if I'm not using Light of Dawn, how am I going to be healing multiple people at once? Well, part of the answer is beacons. You always run Beacon of Faith and Beacon of Light instead of Beacon of Virtue. You would place both of them on 2 DPS players by default or on a DPS and a tank if the tank is taking heavy hits. You don't want to place your beacon on yourself for 2 reasons. First one is Light of the Martyr talent, which makes Holy Shock healing on yourself create a heal absorb and prevents healing from Beacon of Light. And the second reason is the talent Beacon of the Lightbringer, which increases the healing you do based on the target's proximity to either yourself or the target of your Beacon of Light. So using a beacon on yourself is kind of redundant. Next, we're going to have a quick mention about your cooldowns without getting too much into what they do for now. You have 3 main cooldowns you use very often. Avenging Wrath, also known as Wings. It boosts your healing and damage and increases your critical strike chance by 15% for 20 seconds. Divine Toll, it casts Holy Shock to up to 5 targets at once, either allies or enemies depending on your initial target. And Holy Prism heals 1 ally and damages up to nearby 5 enemies, or damages 1 enemy and heals up to 5 nearby allies, depending on your target. Use these often, don't save them for emergencies unless you know a big hit is coming. While I just told you to use them as much as you can, there's no need to stack them on top of each other, as it's usually unnecessary. Your healing outside of your cooldown windows is comparatively low, and your cooldowns are there to compensate for it. So using all your cooldowns on one single mob or a pack is usually a waste. You want to try and use your cooldowns as often as you can without overusing them in a short period of time. Try to spread them out a little, and of course knowing the dungeon and where the damage spikes are will help you plan it out. For defensive emergencies, you also have Divine Shield, aka Bubble, It makes you immune to all damage for 8 seconds. You can use it if you're about to die or you need to immune a mechanic. And Blessing of Sacrifice redirects 30% of the damage taken by an ally to you, up to a limit, so use it to save a tank or a DPS who's taken a big hit. Or you can combine it with Divine Shield to just have the positive effect of Blessing of Sacrifice without the drawbacks. Now, just a slight mention about mana efficiency. With the Truth Prevails talent, you should not have any mana issues in Mythic Plus generally. And if you're rotating through your Blessing of Winter on cooldown as much as you can, it will regenerate your mana, and as well as using Holy Shock on enemies will refund 50% of its cost. So now that we understand the basics of Holy Paladin, let's see how our hero talents build on top of it. Herald of the Sun is the hero talent build you should be using in Mythic Plus. It doesn't change much in terms of your overall gameplay and generally complements good fundamentals. As we mentioned before, Eternal Flame replaces Word of Glory and does the same instant heal, but also adds a small heal over time. Keep in mind that the heal over time placed after the Eternal Flame is very small and shouldn't really be played around. Remember to always use Eternal Flame for single target healing when someone is injured. The second thing I want to mention about Herald of the Sun is Dawnlight. So every time you use Holy Prism or Barrier of Faith, but let's not mention that one, your next 2 Holy Power spenders put up a Dawnlight on those targets. And Dawnlight is basically a heal over time on allies or a dot on enemies. The more Dawnlights you have out, the more value you get out of your next Avenging Wrath or Awakening window due to our capstone hero talent, Sun's Avatar. Now, Sun's Avatar activates when you press Avenging Wrath. You apply 4 Dawnlights to 4 different allies and start firing beams between yourself and each Dawnlight target. These beams do big burst of healing or damage if the Dawnlight is on an enemy. Now, I mentioned Holy Prism because it's very crucial when playing Herald of the Sun. You should always take Holy Prism, otherwise your Herald talents don't work. In Mythic Plus, it's often better to use Holy Prism on cooldown to spread out healing coverage rather than always saving it. Next, we'll talk about the healing priority list. There is no fixed rotation. Your priority always shifts based on what's happening in the dungeon. Here is the core order you should follow, both for healing and maximizing your group's throughput. Let's walk through the priority system step by step. Generally, you would want to start every pool by dropping Consecration as soon as the pack is gathered. Judgment should be the very first global for every new pack. This maximizes mana from Truth Prevails, ramps up passive healing, and sets up your AoE. As for our cooldowns, Holy Prism, Divine Toll, and Avenging Wrath, we had already mentioned them before, and of course we would like to prioritize using them as much as we can without sabotaging ourselves and not having a cooldown for a dangerous part of incoming damage. Your next priority will be to spend your Holy Power. If anyone is injured, as we said, use Eternal Flame. If everyone's healthy, it's fine to pull up to 5 Holy Power and then spend it on Shield of the Righteous as your default spender. This does a lot of damage, lowers the cooldown of Crusader Strike, and also gives you free uses of Eternal Flame with the Shining Righteousness talent every 4 Shield of the Righteous casts. Only use Light of Dawn if you can hit the whole group and they are in need of healing. Otherwise, I would just ignore it in most cases. As for your Holy Power generators, use them on cooldown in this order. Holy Shock is your highest priority, then Judgment is your next priority, and Crusader Strike, only use it when Holy Shock and Judgment are on cooldown. Then we would want to prioritize looking at our Infusion of Light procs. Most of the time you would use this proc on Judgment for the damage prevention, or with Divine Favor on Holy Light if you need a big emergency heal. If nothing dangerous is happening or you can't stand and cast, just use Judgment. I would also want to mention Tears Deliverance. Since we're taking this as part of our build, I would like to explain its usage. Generally, you would only use it before the pull or right before a big predictable hit, but we would never use it as a normal heal in combat. The only reason we're even taking this talent is to get to Relentless Inquisitor, which causes Holy Power spenders to grant you 1% haste per point spent for 12 seconds. and stacks up to 5 times. And finally, the elephant in the room, Hammer of Wrath. I do not recommend using it in this build. I'm serious, don't even talent into it. And if you do have it, only press it if you're out of melee and all other abilities are on cooldown. And its current tuning, it's just not worth pressing with this build. Before we wrap up, I want to give a massive thank you to Ellesmere for helping me put together this guide. If you aren't familiar, Ellesmere is currently the #1 Holy Paladin in the world by Raider.io score, and a great example of what's possible with this spec. Even in the highest Mythic Plus keys where most groups just want meta healers. The strategies and priorities in this video are based on his in-game experience and top-level results. If you want to see more of his content, make sure to check out his YouTube at Ellesmere Gaming and his Twitch. The links will be in the description. If you found this guide helpful, please hit like, subscribe for more practical Mythic Plus content, and leave a comment if you have any questions or you want to see a different spec covered next. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.